You should have some understanding of what you want to go into, even if it's like very brief understanding, rather than just going with the flow that my bunch of my friends are doing it, so I'm gonna do it. The thing which I did different with my SOP, I don't know if it is different. In my SOP, I never mentioned what I'm good at. I mentioned the experience and what I learned from them. I got a reject from one of the safe universities. I don't know how. The professor makes sure to form a team of almost 7 to 8 people. He has a bit of criteria in it, like he wants proper distribution of talent, and then basically people from different countries to work together. So it gives us a lot of exposure of different people's working style.
Before moving towards the MS applications, I had 3-4 questions about the journey that you talked about, like your entrepreneurial journey. The first thing is that your Michigan experience, right, that you talked about. Was it a remote opportunity, or like were you in the US working on it?
No, it was a remote opportunity. Cause I didn't have any like work visa or anything for US work. So it was a remote opportunity. And like I said, like all my freelance work I did for international clients, I did that sitting at my home.
Okay, that's because I thought like, because you told that you took 2 on 10 classes in university, I just thought like you went offline and sort of did it over there. But
I would have loved if it was off.
Yeah.
It was not offline, it was online, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And then the second question that I had was about your learning as an entrepreneur, because you talked about having a clear vision. So that is obviously one of the most important learnings that you've had. But then outside of that, what are those little learnings? Because you didn't really look forward to entrepreneurship in your undergrad, but then you tapped into it as opportunities came along. So what are the other learnings that you took in, let's say, implicitly through this journey?
Okay. The other learnings which are like right now on top of my head is building a good co-founder relationship is something which is important. Then building a good relationship with the people who are helping you build your product, even if they are full time, they are interns or they are freelancers working for you. You should have clear communication with them. This is something which I learned the hard way. Okay?
Clear
If you
communication.
have clear communication with them, you should have clear tasks given to them.
Absolutely.
You should sort of reiterate with them. You should basically ask them that, hey, are you facing some difficulty? Or you should make them feel that this space that they are helping build, or this product they are helping build, they are doing a significant contribution to it. They're putting in their time, and you should make that worth it.
Valuable. Yeah. Absolutely. And then the last question that I had about this phase is that, did you ever think of going back to research? Like, I should, pivot my career in the form of a researcher, or even if I'm doing my MS, I should probably do it in computer science instead of MSc. And then when I'm doing computer science, I should research in the blockchain domain and I should become a researcher. So did you think about it?
After I worked on my product, right, where I thought I don't want to go into computer science. I don't want to go into software development. I want to go into product management or more management side of things. That's why, but even though I had that in mind, and I applied to a bunch of MEM and MS, like MSc course and the MEM, mixed courses, I had also applied to MIS courses. This was still a dilemma for me, whether should I go in that or not. To be honest with you, I don't have a definitive answers for it. Because even though I'm working working on my MSc degree here at Columbia, right, I'm still helping then set up I'm working on some research project work here. So I don't think it's like a distinct line you should draw that I'm just gonna work on research and I'm just gonna work on business side of things. But one thing there is for sure, if you go into research, right, down the line you can go into business side of things. But if you just go into business, tapping into academia can be
difficult. Yes.
This is a question. I'm not working on any substantial research, but I'm working on some research because it just helps me build my profile and just helps me sort of get the curiosity building around blockchain thing. Because a lot of things in blockchain are still in the research. A lot of things are in this very early stage of blockchain, even though it's been almost 10 years since, or more than Bitcoin white paper has came out in 2008. So it's been almost 15 years. But still there is a lot of research to be done. That is why. So, but one thing was sure, I didn't wanted to do something into computer science. I didn't wanted to go into coding. I didn't wanted to go into software development, because when I was doing my working on my product, right, I enjoyed the fact of talking out with people, reaching out clients, building project map, helping look into technical documents, document work, work cross functional, cross team, rather than just sit and work on code. Because I worked on code, I worked on the Solidity smart contracts. That is something I have background in, and it's something I worked for my product. I enjoyed more of working with people rather than just working on the code base or the code. So that is where I thought like somewhere I should have some management background and have courses. I didn't wanted to do a MBA. It's purely non-technical, and I thought like I should have some technical backing with me if I want to again switch into software, because I wanted that door open for me. And that is where I found MEM or MIS or MSE course, this particular course which I'm doing, very good in that particular space. It's a techno management space, and with my course right now, I get a lot of exposure from the business school, Columbia Business School. It's a gold mine, to be honest, a knowledge gold mine for Columbia Business School and Columbia Engineering School. So it's a gold mine for me to tap into resources, reach out to industry people, reach out to researchers. So I'm here since August, right? And I will tell you, I've been to almost, if I'm correct about it, 7 to 8 different conferences and events. Somewhere purely academic, somewhere purely business, somewhere in between. This exposure is what I was looking out for during my master. So even when I think, is it a good time we move to like the master's experience? Because I can talk more about my why I chose which universities, why I chose some courses, and why I chose locations. So for me,
Before,
big factor.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, just one thing that I wanted to mention is that this podcast like completely changed my perspective about entrepreneurship and research, because I used to think that those are two mutually exclusive sets that never can intersect at one point. But then when your journey talks about moving or like, swifting through these domains like freelance, entrepreneurship, research, you almost made it feel like, it's like under one single bracket. Like, when we used to study for JE, like we used to think that physics, chemistry, math is different before we used to start studying. But then when we actually did, you realize it how everything is interconnected to each other. But then this is the podcast that literally changed my perspective about all of these things, because there are some friends of mine who are like, trying to pursue in research domain, and I am interested about entrepreneurship. So we keep on having these conversations that, both of these cannot intersect. Researchers do their work of researching in particular domain, they are niche, and then the entrepreneurs are building on a general level. But then your journey completely changed my perspective towards this, and I just want to thank you for that.
No problem. I'm glad. I'm glad. Like,
Yeah.
and I would be more than happy if it helps change like perspectives or give some insights into students
Absolutely.
listening to the podcast as well.
Absolutely.
When you talk about this, right? I just wanted to highlight few things here. Okay. When you say like you want to pursue like business side and your friends want to pursue research side, which is completely fine in its own. That's why people have co-founders for a company, right? One of the co-founders is like completely technical, one is completely non-technical. But this is where I felt after my entrepreneurial journey, I had a complete technical background. But
Yeah.
I felt that even if, say, down the line, I work on something of mine, I wanted to have a holistic view of what I'm working
Yes.
on. Even though I work with different co-founders down the line who are either like niche in research or tech or business. But I want to be the person who sort of helps them out with everything around there.
That's a nice perspective to have. I will keep this in mind when I'm, getting ahead in my career. This completely changed my perspective towards everything. So, like talking about your undergrad and then your work experience, the gap year and everything. Now we move towards your MS application. So the first question that I have over there is that when you were applying for MS, like usually what people advise is like have some sort of idea of what a 5-year plan would look like. Like if I'm applying for MS, even if there are certain domains that I'm passionate about, which are sort of different from each other, like product manager, entrepreneurship, and everything. But there are certain domains that I don't want to get myself into, like for example, research and everything. So were you clear about what are the career outcomes that you were seeking for after MS?
Yeah, I had some clearer understanding about it once I sort of was in my entrepreneurial journey. And I do believe why people say you should have like at least a 3 to 4 year plan, not even if not like a 5-year plan, because here when you come to basically do masters in a different country, right? There are a lot of different restrictions which come into play. In India, you're free to do anything, but here there are visa issues which come into picture. So that's why people sort of say that you should have some understanding of what you want to go into, even if it's like very brief understanding, rather than just going with the flow that my bunch of my friends are doing it, so I'm gonna do it. having a perspective of what you want to do, even if it is fine if you don't know everything. Okay, it is fine if you don't mark like all the months that I'm gonna do this in this month. Or do this.
Yeah.
I have met a bunch of people who do that. Uh, it is fine if you don't have that. Okay, it is completely. But at least
Mm.
having a basic understanding of what you want to do and
Mm.
what you don't want to do, which you talked about. Okay,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a good thing to know what you don't want to do. Even if you don't know what you want to do, it's a
What
good
to
thing.
do? Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, after I sort of worked on something of mine, I was like, I don't want to go into complete theoretical research. If I go into research, I want to go into research which has practical applications, and which is something which I have still not like. To be honest, I don't look much into going into research. I'm gonna move into industry as soon as I graduate. So that is something which I had in mind, that I don't want to go into research. I don't want to pursue a PhD or something like that. Uh, and then that left me, and I don't want to do computer science. So that's something which I was completely clear about. So this is where courses like MEM come into picture, or MIS come into picture. Not particularly MIS, but more like MEM or MSc courses come into picture. And when I started my applications, right, I had already miserably failed in my GRE, because I was trying to build a product and working on my GRE. It was like a lot of things going on, and I don't recommend people doing it. So, so basically, I completely bombed my GRE, and I was like, now do I have shot at good universities, or shall I just start applying for safe universities? And this is where I put in the framework like safe, medium, is which a lot of people do, and there is a lot of content out there about it. But something unique which I was doing, it was like, again, just for my journey, I was looking out for locations which had good blockchain companies, blockchain talent, or just a bunch of folks who are crazy about blockchain. And this is where I sort of targeted a bunch of universities and bunch of locations. At first, I targeted locations. Then I started looking for good universities in that location. And then I sort of niched down into looking for courses. Either they are MIS or MEM courses. So this is the structure which I followed for my master applications. After GRE, I gave my IELTS, so like basic IELTS. So I just gave that. And after the IELTS, the biggest part was working on my SOP. Yeah, and I had a lot of things to showcase in my SOP, but I didn't know how to put them in a single two-page document. And basically, it took me a lot of reiterations. It took me a lot of time. But the thing which I did different with my SOP, I don't know if it is different. In my SOP, I never mentioned what I'm good at. I mentioned the experience and what I learned from them. So all of my SOP paragraphs, right? Even if I go back now and read it, I just mentioned why I started doing what I started, what I did, what was the impact of what I did,
Hmm.
and now why I want to do what I'm doing, and how I
Yes.
can sort of relate with the previous impact I had, and how this thing can help me bring even more impact
In the future. Yes.
and the life of people around me. This
Yes.
was
Yes.
like a consistent theme which I kept in my
Yes.
SOP, and
Absolutely.
which I thought was a good way for someone like me to go. And
Mhm.
I had a lot of things to show, a lot of
Mhm.
different things to show, a lot of domains to like basically a lot of perspectives, like a 360. And I didn't have like a good GRE score, so I was like, how I'm gonna get into top colleges? Because
Yeah.
I look around, like mostly a lot of people have good GRE score, or
Good
this
GPA.
good
Yeah.
GPA. So my GPA was also decent. So when I converted my GPA got to around 3.8. So I didn't have like a problem with
Mhm.
GPA. Like 3.8 on a
Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
yeah. So I didn't have like a problem with my GPA. It was more of like this competitive exam thing. And this is where I thought like I can make my SOP a standing document or something which can change my complete application process. Even with my LORs, right? When I was discussing it with my professors, I made sure to let them know of the things which I worked with them. So during my undergrad, as I was working on different research internships, so through their perspective, I basically like basically when we were discussing, like they were just discussing like, what do you think you want us to focus in your LOR, or what do you think like. To be honest, I am very happy to have awesome professors in my undergrad who were very like communicative with me and supportive for whatever I was doing. Because I remember during my undergrad, I used to just go out for internships and not be there in the classes. And this is where like professors were really supportive. That they were like, just helping me do things. And this happened only because I reached out to them. I was like, I am passionate about something. I want to explore this, and I'm doing this. Please guide me. Please support me here. And this is in my even like LOR. When I reached out to them, they were like, just let us know what you have worked on. And in my LOR also, I like never professors never mentioned about I'm good at this. They put down experiences which I did during like various things I worked on during my university time, how it sort of helped me shape. And this is something which I did like completely unique for my application process. I just put in whatever I had in my experiences on those papers. And I guess this somewhere it sort of gave a holistic view to the universities, because people here in undergrad, they do a lot of things. They are not focused on a particular thing. And I thought like if I want to crack major colleges, the way I can go ahead is to showcase the experience I have and the things I've built on, rather than just showcasing that I'm good at this like that.
Can you share the list of universities that you applied to and how many of them you got accepted? And like, if you remember.
Okay. So I initially applied to 7-8 universities. First till the end of December or something like that. I applied to 7-8 universities. Some of them required GRE, some did not. Then from Jan to I think so the month of Jan, I applied to more 6-7 universities. So I had already completed all of my applications for most of the university till the mid of Jan. I had applied to almost 9 or 10 universities. But then I had this mind, I guess this comes into to mind of a lot of people when this complete their application, that if I gonna get in or not. Because I had applied to a bunch of ambitious universities and medium ones. I had applied to very few safe universities. I just applied to 1 or 2 safe universities. And by the mid of Jan, I had this continuous thought in my head, would I get in? Because I have applied to a bunch of universities. All of them are ambitious or medium, and I have not applied to a bunch of safe. So I ended up applying to 2 more universities by the end of that. And in general, I applied to around 12 or 13 universities, out of which I got like fee waiver for almost, if I'm correct, 8 or so universities. Yeah. So that's why I applied to a lot of universities, because I got like a fee waiver from a lot of universities. And this is where, so I talked with one of my friends, and he did this during his journey as well for masters. He just reached out to universities asking them for fee waivers. On it. And then I was like, okay, let's do that. So I just sat. I just
even I did that this time. Yes, I just emailed them, the admissions committee, like, I'm trying to apply. Would you give me a free waiver, or attending one of their information sessions or something like that? And through that, usually you do get those application fee waivers. Otherwise, they're extremely costly. Like they're like around $80, $90, $100 some cases. So
it is extremely costly to apply for these things. So that's why I applied to a lot of universities just because I had got a fee waiver from them. And then I didn't have to pay for sending the GRE score and these kind of things, because I was just applying without GRE. I applied to universities with GRE, but after you give the exam, you can apply to 2-3 universities for free. So if I'm at 2 universities, you can send your score.
The 4 is
out of the 4, I didn't apply to the 2 universities which I sent the score to, and I just applied to the 2 which I had sent the score. So I didn't have that I didn't have to pay for the GRE score sending thing. And then I got fee waiver, so I was able to apply to a lot of universities. Few of the universities which I applied to, right? Some safe ones. Then in the ambitious university, I had applied to Carnegie Mellon, I had applied to Columbia, I had applied to Cornell, I had applied to Berkeley. To be honest, that's what I'm saying. I applied to a lot of MIS courses. I applied to very few MEM courses. And the only one MSc course, I didn't apply to the Stanford's MSc course.
Stanford one,
To the MSc course at Columbia. So basically, when I started getting my even I applied to Arizona State University, and then a bunch of safe universities like Stevens, Northeastern, San Diego State, San Jose. San
Jose State. Did you apply to Dartmouth? Dartmouth has an MEM course. Duke, you said you didn't.
This is where the location factor came into picture. So I didn't want it to be in a place where I cannot network with people. I know, like they have like the courses has a very good reputation, but I wanted to be in places where I can get exposure to the field which I like. And
so was it New York and California?
Yeah, so New York, California, Austin, then so that is why, like, basically I applied to like these locations. I applied to Cornell Tech as well. It's also
That's
based.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's new.
So,
Okay.
so these are few universities I applied to, and when I started getting out my admits, I remember the first admit I got was from ASU. This is when I got the admit at the third week of Jan or something, which when I was still applying for universities. Okay, I had already gotten an admit from ASU. After that, I got bunch of safe admits. I got a reject from one of the safe universities, and yeah, I don't know how. And then I sort of got my first big admit was Cornell, which I got. I got like an interview invite for Cornell after I did my interview in my like interview with the I had my interview with the program director, who is now the program director at Cornell. I had the interview with him. After that, in 2 days, I got my admit from Cornell, which was crazy for me to get into an Ivy League institution. PRE score, just based on my profile. I was pretty sure I'm going to go to Cornell, but the fact that was still in my mind that it was Cornell, which was based in Ithaca, and this is something where my location factor was constantly in my head that let's wait out for a while. So I send an email to Cornell that, hey, I'm going to wait for a bit. So they extended the deadline for me to pay fees. And basically, I just waited for till then. I got in like almost all the universities. So out of 13, I remember I got into 10 or so universities. And till then, I've gotten like admits from 8 or so. So I was still waiting for CMU and Columbia. And I got into one night, like I was just sitting with a friend. I got an email from Columbia. I guess I was one of the early rollout admits which they gave. So I got an email from Columbia, and I was like, "Whoa!" I got into second Ivy League. I had only applied to two Ivy Leagues, and I got into both of them. So I was crazy, and this fits like the perfect box for me. It's a good one of the best locations to be at. One of the best house to be at, and it just helps me explore a lot of things which I want to do during my masters. Then I was still waiting for CMU. I don't know why. I was like, I've applied to this universities. Let's just wait for
So
it.
let's say, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it was one of the topmost MIS courses, like which was in the second bucket we had. Like I had two buckets
Yeah, yeah.
in MIS.
I
But
have an MS.
which I got where MEM or at least MSc, which is sort of MEM. And then I didn't have like a top MIS course which I had still gotten into. So when I got an admit from CMU, I was like in a dilemma for a week. Which shall I
Yeah.
choose? To go to CMU, Cornell, or Columbia? And then I sort of thought that shall I pursue MIS or MEM? Because I was in real mindset.
Yeah.
But after a lot of deep thought, I talked with a bunch of people. I discussed this with a bunch of people. I tried to think back from the perspective why I applied to these courses and what I gained from different courses. I sort of drew a bit of mental models that what are the pros and cons of going for these different universities and everything. And I ended up canceling CMU, and I was confused between Cornell and Columbia. This is where location factor came.
Location factor came in,
Yeah.
and then
And I was like,
Columbia.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How
So
much-
in which month did you come to a conclusion like, okay, this is the point, like I'm going to Columbia?
Okay, so if I'm correct with the timeline, which I don't know if I am. So at the early March, end of Feb, I got in an admit from Cornell. Then early March, I got an admit from Columbia, and early April, I got an admit from CMU. So
Okay.
April,
And
I finalized my university. Like now the visa thing came into picture, right? So something crazy happened. One evening, I was just looking for the website, and I saw a bunch of slots open for me. And this was, I think so. Like I saw a slot which was just 2 weeks open. Like it was April third week or something, and I saw slots which are open for the May second week or something. And I just booked the visa slot. I was like, I have gotten to university. I have finalized the university. I have gotten the I-20 for it because I had like already done the process for it. I just booked my visa slot. So I remember in this batch, I was the first or one of the first people to get a visa.
yeah,
It
to get
a lot of slots opened later on.
yeah. They usually open in May and towards May end or June something. As far as I know, right?
Yeah. So by the mid of May, I was already done with my process. I gotten my visa. I had my university final. I had everything. I was like done with the process by the May end. If you look back, by the end of January, I was nowhere in the process. So in
Yes, 4 months. Yeah, everything happened. Everything happened in this 4 months. Yes. And then you had applied to Cornell, Columbia, all of those schools, like the ambitious schools and above average schools till December is what you said, right?
Yeah, so I remember I applied to Columbia on its deadline. I remember I applied to CMU on its deadline, which was mid of Jan. I remember applying to a few of university on their deadline and some before deadline. So safe universities, what I did was I just applied to them way before their deadline, because I knew if I applied way before their deadline, I'm sure not gonna get it.
Yeah. So then, as you approach closer to the first deadline, like your probability of getting in decreases, something is what students usually talk about. So do you think that there's something like that, or you can apply till the deadline? How does that look like?
I don't know if this would work out for everyone, but applying on that deadline worked for me and bunch of my friends as well. Like now, when I talked with them, they also had sort of applied at the deadline, because these big institutions, right? They sort of have like a gap. Like they cut it off at a particular date, after which they don't take in applications anymore, which is the
Yeah.
and after that, they go through all the applications. They make sure that they don't leave your application.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is fine, I guess, if you apply on the date of deadline. It is not you should do, but it is fine, I guess. Yeah. It doesn't hurt that much. But for universities, it is better if you apply early on, because that's why you're running in TF, right? Like, you're gonna get in, so why not apply early on and just get in?
And then talking about your experience at Columbia. So how is the experience been like so far? And what is the most important highlight for you in your curriculum and your extracurriculars, the student activities and everything?
So my experience has been very enriching, and I have sort of gotten a lot of perspective since I've been here. Like I told you, right? New York gives me access to a lot of different folks, lot of different industry people, academic people. My niche, right, which I'm sort of passionate about, even though I'm looking at different options, but I'm still passionate about blockchain. So this is where, again, reaching out to people is helping me. So even before coming to Columbia, I was trying to look out for part-time jobs, part-time opportunities. And I sort of got into one of their internal blockchain groups which they have. And I saw one of the professors there who was looking out for a research assistant, trying to do some research work here. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm up for it. And and then sort of I'm working as a RA, and then I'm doing another part-time working as an exam proctor here, and then another part-time working as a tutor here. So I'm just trying to utilize as much as my time here, doing bunch of things. This RA experience is sort of helping me keep in touch with the blockchain side of, cause in my coursework, there is like few courses which are in the blockchain, but during my journey, I already covered like a bunch of those topics. So I don't think I sort of learn them again sitting in academic environment. So here I'm mostly exploring the business side of things. And like this semester, I took an elective, which was sort of, the name of the elective is pretty simple. It's Foundations of Entrepreneurship, which is with my passion, which I had. And this class is basically helping me figure out what went right and what went wrong did last year.
What is the ratio of technical to non-technical courses that you have taken? Like 70-30, 60-40?
So the first sem with the Columbia course, this is particular to the MSc course at Columbia, we have to take two core technical topics, which are purely mathematical topics, as this comes in the industrial engineering domain. So that is something which you have to take. Then there is this unique project-based course, which is very unique to the MSc at Columbia. It's called Operations Consulting, where we are divided like in a bunch of, like we are almost like a class of 85 to 90 people. And the professor makes sure to like form a team of almost 7 to 8 people. He has a bit of criteria in it, like he wants proper distribution of talent, and then basically people from different sectors, so and different countries to work together. So it gives us a lot of exposure of different people's working style, and basically my team which I'm working with has like a complete across the board experience. Some have consulting background, some have finance background, some have technical background, some have biotech background. And basically we are given this bunch of projects to work on. So I'm working with basically 2-3 clients right now. And we sort of do a year-long consulting with them. By year-long, I mean 2 semesters long consulting with them. We work as consultants for them across their different projects. So one of the projects I'm working on is purely AI based project. So I'm working as like a technical researcher / consultant for them. And the other one is like a pure consulting work for a big consulting firm like EY. The third one is more over like a marketing project. So and then all of my different friends, like all have different clients. So different people get different exposures. Some are working on supply chain industry. So this is something very unique to our course. It takes a lot of time and effort, during those 2 semesters, because you have to manage the client work, you have to manage basically your coursework, then part-time and everything. But by the end of those 2 semesters, right, you get a bunch of experience and exposure, which has been like a common recurring theme for me. Like in a small amount of time, I tend to get a lot of exposure, and this is something which perfectly fits for me. So this is where I like the course. Aside from that, for the first semester, basically these three are core courses, and I'm taken the elective which I talked about, which from the Columbia Business School. For the spring and the later fall semester, I'm more or open to take courses from different like business school classes or engineering classes. So this is something which I'm still thinking on which courses to take for spring. I have a few in mind. I'm still exploring different options, which courses to take, which courses to not take. But by the end, till I graduate, right, I just need to get a holistic understanding of the business side of things, and basically how I can relate it to, say, the engineering background which I have,
Yes.
and gain more understanding in the product domain. So that is something which I tend to get at the end of my course.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I learned from your entire experience so far, like your undergrad and your entrepreneurial journey and then your experience at MS, one thing that I notice about you is that you shed off things and your identities very quickly to adopt to a new one. Like you mentioned that you are working on AI right now, then you're also working in a consulting space. You're also working as a marketing guy for some
Yeah, so we are basically working as a team. So it's not just me working, but it's more or like our team working together.
Yes. But then still, it's very fascinating for me, like how swiftly you move through all of these domains without any preconceived notion about them. That is the first thing that I learned. And ideally, any student shouldn't have such notions before, like until unless trying those things. So I'm definitely going to change myself over that.
Sure.
The second thing that I learned is that there is this philosophy again, which Naval Ravikant sort of talks about, like the willingness of an individual to climb a hill from 0 to 1, again get down from that hill and then climb another hill. So that is a pattern that I observed in you frequently. Like you've done it very quickly, as you mentioned, and that is, I think, one of the qualities that entrepreneurs and investors in the long run should also have, that to adopt to new technology, shedding of their wings for the previous one, the favor or anything that they have for the previous one, and then move to a new one, is something that I learned from you. And this is a mindset that I think will help a lot of students. And then I just want to thank you for that again. And one other question that I had was just like, how do you manage your time? Then all like so many things. Like, how do you manage your time in your MS?
This is something which I'm still learning, okay? Because it is a bit difficult to adjust to a new country. I have like worked outside my home for a lot of time, like almost 7-8 years. I have not I don't live with my parents or at my home. Almost it's been 7-8 years. So I sort of had an understanding of how to manage my time. But when I came to New York and the course at Columbia, it's a different ballgame. Like it takes a lot of time working on different things. So for time management, right, something which I'm trying to practice right now, and which sort of is helping me in a sense is I sort of allocate a chunk of time. So what I do is, say I had to work on a project 2 days back. Okay, I had to work on one of my projects. Like we have some of our projects due. So what I did was I took a afternoon whole slot. I was like, for this time, I'm not going to do anything else. And I just have like a basic note down of what I'm going to do for the whole day. That if I say I have to work on one project, I have to do my part time, and I have to work on my research work a bit. So I just broke it down that, hey, this is something which I'm going to do. Or someday, if I have to work on my internship applications, which I'm doing right now while doing the whole managing the whole thing. So I sort of just try to break my whole day in small chunks and just try to be productive in that small chunk of time. This is something which I'm trying to reiterate and trying to sort of find better mindsets at time managing, and something which I'm still learning. Yeah.
That's nice. And then a personal question now, like, how do you find New York City? Like, you've traveled around, I'm pretty sure like there are very fascinating locations, and Columbia is literally in the heart of New York. So how has the experience of being in New York changed you at a personal level?
Okay, so the experience of New York, right? One thing that happened with me is when I was working on my product and I was reaching out to a lot of people, okay? But I was reaching out to them virtually. I was still like remotely reaching out to people. I was talking with a bunch of people based in US or across the world, but I was mostly doing it virtually. So one thing which I have sort of gained more confidence is trying to sort of pitch my idea or sell my idea to people. And this is something where New York is actually helping me a lot due to various events, right? Good quality event, good quality networking happening in and around New York. If I go to some event, I am pretty damn sure that I'm going to learn at least 2-3 things here, because There are a lot of brilliant people in and around New York. And this is something, and then basically we, for us, right, English is like a language which is not primary to us. Okay. And a lot of Indian students, basically, or students from Asia, suffer with that. But when you sort of get a real life experience of talking with a bunch of folks, just pitching out your ideas, discussing different things in a practical setting, this sort of helps you build that vocabulary in English. This sort of helps you build your self confidence. So this is something which I am basically learning. And aside from that, right, aside from that learning side of things, I'm actually very happy to be in New York. Like New York has a lot of things to offer. So if I just want to sit around the river or ocean, I can just go to one of the piers in New York, just sit around there, watch the sunset. If I want to go in, say, some garden or some green environment, just to refresh a bit, there is Central Park. Yeah, yesterday evening only I went to Central Park. Like today is cloudy day, but yesterday it was quite sunny. So I was like, let's just go to Central Park. So I just went to Central Park. I walked there for a while. I just relaxed a bit and I came back.
Okay.
Yeah. So New York has a lot of different things to offer to a lot of different people. So I feel at this point in my life, New York is a place which is very good for someone like me to explore, and it has given me a lot of different things. Yeah. So
That's absolutely amazing. So with this discussion, I sort of come to the end of the episode. So is there anything that you would want to share with the audience? Any learning, anything, any final words of advice?
to be honest, we have talked with a lot of things here, and I hope like your audience get a lot of understanding and idea from my journey. And one thing I would just like sort of want to reiterate is, if you are curious about something, right, never forget to go behind it. It is fine, completely fine. People around you doing different things, but if you feel that there is a thought in your head, right, this feels right, follow that thought. It might take you to places you never have imagined. So
Absolutely.
on that note, I want to.
Yes. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, and thank you so much for changing my perspectives about so many things. Like literally, this podcast has been a very, very amazing experience for me. We've almost like shot for like 1 hour 25 minutes now, and very wholesome. Like it literally, I learned so many things from you. I'm very thankful to you, and I'm glad that we interacted online, because since I'm also preparing for my MSc MEM applications this year, I reached out to you, and then I went through a profile and I was blown away. Like research, freelancing, entrepreneurship, and then management science and engineering is definitely something that I want to do. So then when I talked about your profile with my friends for the first time, I was like, this is my dream conversation. Like this is something that I wanted to do for a very long time. And then it finally happened. And I still remember the first time we had a meet, and till this point, like how did it work out and stuff. It's been amazing. It's been
Thank you so much, basically, for reaching out. And I'm happy like my journey has been an inspiration for you. And I'm still learning, to be honest. Like every day I'm still learning. Every day is a different day for me. Every day I'm learning for people who are 2-3 years above me. And it's good that you're following the same approach, I guess. This helps you grow in a way you never imagined.
Yes. There is a quote by Isaac Newton in which he states that if I've seen anything further than the others, it is by standing on the shoulders of the giants. So through the last 2 years, whoever has been my podcast guest, I sort of connect with them on a very personal level, and from them I learn a lot of things which have sort of helped me get clarity about my career goals. And again, like every other guest, you have also been one of those giants on whose shoulders I stand. And then I can look into the future now, and I'll definitely take out time to reflect back on this episode. And thank you so much. I've already made a page worth of notes. And
Okay. Yeah. No, thank you so much for having me, and I'm glad you're following what you are passionate about. I'm really happy that you're taken the initiative to have like a podcast setup, reaching out to people. I know getting me to do this podcast was a bit like there was it is almost like a month's delay, but I'm actually happy that you're reaching out to people. Keep this up, and I'm like all the best for your application.
Thank you so
And do reach out to me if you have any questions related to any application or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.